fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our second episode of the Weekly Crusaders. My name is Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And this week, we are talking about two new movies that came out during the week of, I want to make sure I get the week's part right here, the 22nd through the 28th. Like I said, this is our new version of the Weekend Crusaders. We're only talking about two movies, basically Brian's pick and my pick instead of five. Just too many movies to watch in 1 week. And then for anyone who's wondering what happened to the sneaker film, we have a brand new show that Brian is running called Cinemasochism. Why am I all of a sudden getting this perfect?
You got it right again.
I know. Like before we decided to do this, I was like, I'm never gonna get this title right. And I have 3 for 3 now, and I totally just jinxed myself now. But Cinemasochism is a show where we're going to do the sneakers on that. We just dropped our first episode a few days back. It was for Tiptoes. That was a movie, and it is definitely worth watching us react to Tiptoes. So check out that. But this week, we're going to be talking about two films. Like I said, it's in January, so the choices of great films is not that high. But we both said in the first episode that we're not trying to pick the big flagpole films. We're trying to pick kind of the, not necessarily niche, but movies that maybe people don't know about or remember that well, or maybe didn't give enough of a fair shake to. So that's why we're kind of picking kind of films that aren't like, you know, your, like I said, Avengers Endgame, Jurassic Park, Jaws, stuff like that. So like we're gonna start with my film this week again, and mine is a rom-com that came out in January instead of waiting like 3 weeks to come out during Valentine's Day. But this one was riding high off of That 70s Show, which honestly works because That 90s Show just came out on Netflix, and I'm a huge That 70s Show fan. So when I saw that Topher Grace, who plays Eric Foreman on That 70s Show, was going to get his first film, a rom-com no less, I was definitely intrigued, and that is Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. Now this movie, basically, actually, let me go over the box office before I get into the actual film. Win a Date with Tad Hamilton came out January 23rd, 2004, had a budget of $22 million, had a weekend opening of $7.32 million. It opened the week at number 3. It was its highest ranking for its run, and had a finished box office of $21.51 million, $17.07 million domestic, and $4.44 million international. Like I said, I love That 70s Show. I love the whole cast, even though we're technically not allowed to talk about one of them anymore. But Topher Grace was one of those, like, he was obviously the lead of that show, and outside of like maybe like 5 movies, he's not really been a lot in the camera a whole lot. Like definitely Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were basically the two that probably rose through the stardom of That 70s Show. But Topher was definitely him, and honestly, actually same weekend, him and Ashton Kutcher both had movies get released on the same weekend with Butterfly Effect, which we talked about during the Weekend Crusaders. So we definitely had a That 70s Show kind of weekend in terms of films. Whereas Kutcher's was kind of more of a thriller, and Grace's was more of a rom-com. This is also starring Kate Bosworth, with, I think, was Blue Crush like the only thing she really had done before this? I want to say.
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah. And then, of course, Josh Duhamel, who was still, I think this is one of his very, very first performances.
Actually, his first film. He had been on a soap opera, and then he had been on Las Vegas.
Yeah, because he had a long run on Las Vegas, and then of course everyone, I think, I feel like most people, because Las Vegas was on TV, and a lot of people don't watch a whole lot of TV. I feel like people know Josh Duhamel from this and Transformers, which that's valid. It's very valid.
Much, yeah. Just quick note: Kate Bosworth had done Remember the Titans, Wonderland, and Horse Whisperer as well, but just small parts.
I remember Titans just had like 2 scenes in the whole movie. I do remember the Titans. But yeah, the main plot of Win a Date with Tad Hamilton is they're in a small town in, I forget what state it is, like Alabama or Georgia or some shit. But basically, you know, Josh Duhamel is like the biggest up and coming, like, you know, hot actor. All the girls swoon over him, all that kind of stuff. And Kate Bosworth's character, Rosalie, and then Topher Grace, and then their friend Kathy, played by Jennifer Goodwin, who I think is actually really good as a supporting character in this film. Just living their lives, working at the Piggly Wiggly. That shows you how small town this is. That Piggly Wiggly gets a big kind of marketing thing through this film. But they hang out, they work, they watch Tad Hamilton movies, and Tad Hamilton is kind of like I say, young star. Kind of more of like a, probably say more like a Timothy Chalamet, but definitely way more attractive. But when tabloids cause him to look like more of a party animal, his agents basically decide to, let's put you out there to date a random girl for charity, which is very, very weird thought process. But
yeah, they got to fix his image because he had been pulled over for what was he like?
he didn't get pulled over. A tabloid guy
Being
caught him
photographed, like drinking and speeding, and yeah,
drinking and smoking with a girl all at the same time.
yeah.
But I mean, he didn't get caught; they just picture caught. So they're like, your image looks bad. He's trying to get this big movie role, which I guess maybe is an Oscar type of film. At least that's how they kind of portrayed it in the movie. But they need to fix his image, make him look more wholesome. So they basically, do this like campaign thing where you put in for charity and you can win a date with him, in which obviously Rosalie wins. And the movie kind of goes from there. I mean, Topher Grace's character is obviously madly in love with her, but he plays that, it's Topher Grace. He plays the lanky, kind of nerdy character very well, but he's not even that much of a nerd in this. He's just a small town guy. Like, honestly, compared to Eric Foreman, Topher Grace actually looks really good in this film in terms of looks compared to Kate Bosworth. He's lanky. He's Eric. But it's it's a typical story where guy loves girl, but guy won't make move on girl. So, and then girl gets a date with an incredibly attractive man, and then he has to fight for her and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not breaking the mold. It's not a movie we haven't seen 1,000 times before, but the cast is relatively solid. Like I said, you got the three leads right there. I said Jennifer Goodwin, Catherine Hahn is in it. You got Nathan Lane, Sean Hayes, Gary Cole. Octavia Spencer has a very, very small role back when she was not really doing much. She was just kind of like that's that one girl from that one movie, which, now she's way bigger. Amy Smart's got a very, very small role in this. But yeah, it's a solid rom-com. I'm not saying like, oh my God, this is so great. But if you like these actors, it's fun going back and watching them in relatively some of their very first films and just kind of watching them and go, oh man, I like these people. The story's not anything great, but I do enjoy watching these people on film. I'll go a little bit more into it in a bit, but Brian, go ahead with your take on When a Day with Tad Hamilton.
This is one of those movies. It's just kind of a small, harmless rom-com. It wasn't ever meant to be a big blockbuster or anything. It's really kind of a relic of its time, because this kind of movie now would absolutely be like a Netflix movie. This would not go to theaters now, not a chance. But that's actually the kind of movie I like, and especially it's a very likable cast. Like, none of them, like you said, were superstars. It was Josh Duhamel's first movie. It was
Topher Grace's the lead.
First
Topher Grace
role.
is the star.
Yeah, Topher had like small parts in like Traffic and things like that, but this is his first starring role. Kate Bosworth had really not been a lead in anything. But they're all super likable people. And Jennifer Goodwin, who I actually liked her like in the pre-Once Upon a Time era, when she was doing first on the TV show Ed, and then and things like this. I really liked her. So I mean, it's a great cast across the board. It's just kind of a super simple. It's basically Friend Zone, the movie, which is not an original idea. It's been done in a million different ways, but it's enjoyable enough to see. I will say the only people on the cast I was not a fan of are Nathan Lane and Sean Hayes. I think those two characters were just made me.
They're cartooning it up pretty hard.
Well, first of all, Nathan Lane I can take in limited doses, but the problem is anytime I hear his voice, he's just Timon. I'm sorry, that's all he'll ever be.
That's fair. That's very, very fair.
Sean Hayes makes anything he's in worse. I hate Sean Hayes. He has never been funny a day in his life on a TV show or a movie or anything. And so as soon as I saw him, because I'd forgotten he was in this, I was like, oh my God. And I wish I could just fast forward over all his scenes, but I did not.
I will defend Nathan Lane in this movie. I think Nathan Lane is fine in the film. I think he's doing his part relatively well. You throw Sean Hayes in there and he's just so unprofessionally off the wall. Like, let's just throw a funny line, or let's throw an uncomfortable line, or let's have him fucking get undressed in Josh Duhamel's closet and start putting on his clothes. Why? Okay, cool. Let's put him in a leather jacket with whitey tighties and shoes. And it's like,
yeah, no, Nathan Lane was not the problem. Like I said, he has a small role in here, and I can take him in small roles. It's fine. It was just Sean Hayes made me just hate all those scenes. but I mean, I enjoy the movie. It's nothing, nothing great. It's not like one of my favorite rom-coms or anything like that. But it's just one of those things you sit down and you watch and you smile and you enjoy it. Um, there
And
was
it's quick. It's quick too. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's pretty short. You know what else I also liked about it is that with this kind of movie especially, um, a lot of times like the girl starts going with this new guy, and so the friend's getting ignored, and and then but he unveils like this guy is this horrible person or something he did that was so horrible, and I really liked that they didn't feel the need to do that. They didn't make Tad an asshole. I mean, there was like one scene where you thought he might be because he's like stole his speech, but then later on he fesses up to it, and it's like he's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's just like they didn't make him into like a mustache twirling villain like they.
I'm gonna touch on that a little bit more, but I want you to keep going. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but I'll let you go. Why don't you go ahead and go some stuff?
Yeah, I mean, to further go on to that, that is probably I didn't have this problem, or I didn't, I guess, look at it this way. Back in was it 2004 when this came out, but now that like I'm like rewatching this, I think this movie should have ended differently. I really do, because yes, Tad Hamilton is not a bad guy. Yes, he's a party animal at the beginning of the film, but what hot young movie star wouldn't be in that situation? And him meeting Rosalie actually grounds him, and he wants to be a better version of himself. He wants to be a better person because of her. And yes, he does steal Topher's line at that one point, but that's because he's put in on the spot, and she's like, you don't feel this way about me, which he probably does, but he doesn't know how to do it yet.
By the way, it was amazing that he memorized verbatim this speech that Topher Grace said one time in a bathroom.
But then forgets it like a day later,
Yeah.
Which is the part that makes no sense. Because like even like when she was like quizzing him at the end, she's like, "Which smiles?" I'm like, "I know which one because you literally just said it," and like I know exactly what. Like, dude, come on. But it's one of those things where it's like he's not a bad guy. He's not a guy who's eventually going to cheat on her. He's not a guy who like you hear like on a side talking to his like, "I'm just going to use her to get the gig, and then I'm going to do this." Like, no, like he gets the gig, and he's like, I want you there with me. I want you there to. You make me better. You're the reason why I got this. I want you to be a part of this with me. He's a good general guy. And there's no, except for just the script has to follow the formula that he has to, once again, like you said, he tells the truth. Like, look, I got this from, what the fuck was Topher Grace's name? Pete. I got this from Pete, but I do feel this way. I just, it's just, we've only been hanging out for like a week, but I do feel this way about you. But then, of course, she is like, no, obviously I love him and stuff like that, which I was like, okay, cool. She's like, they make this thing like love isn't about blah, blah, blah. It's about the little things. It's like, well, he hasn't had enough time to do it, but like at least give him the chance to. And honestly, if I was writing this now, I would have gone the way that I think it should have went, which was Catherine Hahn should have been with Tad. Or not Tad, should have been with Pete at the end of the movie. She has this great speech at the bar. And they make her kind of the butt of the joke throughout the film because the way Pete feels about Rosalie is the way she feels about Pete. And like Pete and them just kind of joke about her. Well, Pete doesn't, but Rosalie and Kathy kind of joke about like how she feels about him. But she has a speech where she tells him, like, kind of consoles him about Rosalie. And she's like, he's Tad Hamilton, just like you're Tad Hamilton to me. Like, that's a great line right there. And Pete should have kind of been like, wow, I guess I never noticed it that way. Not saying that he maybe should have been like, oh, I love you. But without giving Tad this evil spiel kind of thing, Catherine Hahn gets screwed over in this movie.
Well, I mean, I think I disagree on how that's how it should have ended. But I do agree with that. It's like, she feels about him the way he feels about Rosalie, and it's like, and yet she's the butt of the joke because of it, like you said.
Yeah.
And he's like, the romantic hero, and it's like, well, wait a minute, that's why you got to portray her like that. Yeah. If you're gonna say that she's kind of sad or whatever because of it, you got to portray him that way too. But no, he gets the girl, of course.
I feel like by today's standards, if you now, great, it's 2004, it's just falling the form, but by today's standards, I would have had them be, and let Rosalie and Tad do their thing. Because like I said, Tad has not at any point showed an evilness towards Rosalie or anything like that. He's been straight up with her, except for like that little lie, which he comes forward about. And you got Catherine Hahn's character, which I keep saying her actress's name. Her name's Angelica in the film, and she bears her heart out to him in a helpful way, but bears her that maybe that Pete should look elsewhere. Because I'm sorry, like outside of just like him being friends with her, I also once again don't necessarily see Rosalie and Pete together in this outside of just that the script says so. Like they're friends. That's it. You know, he's cute. He obviously he's attracted to her because she's Kate Bosworth. But where, I
don't know if I agree with that. Just because obviously, you didn't. It's a short rom-com, like you said. They didn't get into a whole lot of detail on it.
Yeah.
But I did feel like I definitely felt like they were lifelong friends, and you could tell he had feelings for her. And then after he basically confesses his love to her, you can tell she's like, you told me this now. You can tell like she kind of felt that way for him too, but she didn't do anything because she wasn't sure if it'd be reciprocated. And so I kind of felt like there was that now. So I can see them getting together now. Whether or not they show they show this people 10 years down the road, I don't know if they're together, but I bought them getting together at the end. And you know what else? I liked the way they bookended it with the ending with the same scene as the Tad Hamilton scene from the beginning.
Yes, because at the beginning of the movie, he's like, no movie would end this stupidly. This is so dumb, and then it ends the exact same way. Honestly, and both times, I'm terrified for the fucking dog. Because that dog is standing in the middle of the road, and it's night out. And both in the movie and in the movie and the movie, I'm like, that dog's gonna get hit because they're too busy dancing and listening to music that some guys are gonna come plowing down that road. It's gonna kill that
Speaking
dog.
of which, okay, so she goes to his apartment and finds out he's already left. He's long gone.
He's going
to. They're packing up his apartment.
They're in West Virginia. He's going to Richmond, Virginia. That's where they're at.
Yeah, so he's already long gone. He's had enough time that he called Angelica, said, "Hey, can you go pack up some of my stuff?" When Rosalie goes to his apartment, and then how fast did she have to drive to catch up to him?
No, not even that. She goes to the Piggly Wiggly, then to his place, and then somehow catches up to him. So she had to like either he's the slowest driver ever, or maybe he like stopped and ate somewhere.
And hopefully there's only one road that goes from their town to.
So maybe he stopped and got a bite to eat, and maybe that slowed it down. But yeah, she catches up to him relatively quickly.
I guess it's one of those things you got to write off. Just it's small town life. There's only one main road. They're going to catch up to it. But that's one thing is they got a little bit too much into the like that kind of small town hit kind of thing when she starts using words like was it shake a do and yikes a bee and it's like okay, now we're getting a little too cutesy. I'm not buying this.
Yikes a bee or something like that.
I think it was yikes a bee. Yeah,
yikes a bee. I see what you guys are trying to do. You guys are trying to start a trend word, and the movie's not big enough to start a trend word.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yes, but. It's like I say, it's a harmless rom-com. It's not trying to break the mold. Like I say, it's all about you just liking these likable characters. Mm-hmm. I do feel also like they kind of just like made Kathy such an important character throughout the film, and then she's just kind of like, "Hi, bye" at the end of the movie. Which but what do you have her to do?
It's like, all my friends are leaving. Okay, see ya.
Yeah, she's just kind of like, okay, whatever, kind of deal. Like if it was me, like I would think logically it would make sense. And I know it's because they're starting their relationship a little more. Like, wouldn't Rosalie bring Kathy with her for
you think?
Like, I would think logically, it's like I have no one there. Tad's gonna be filming. I'm gonna be alone. I probably would have taken Kathy with me. But no, she's just like, bye.
Somebody's got to run the store. How many cashiers can they have? It's a Piggly Wiggly in West Virginia.
They got Octavia Spencer already too. So I mean, there's enough people to do that.
The manager just quit. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, Gary Coleman, his character is just very one note. It's
the same character Gary Coleman always plays, but he's fun.
Yeah, he's
always
good. Running gag where he's trying to become more Hollywood as the movie comes on, which is it doesn't land at all. But I mean, it's not enough to the point where you're like, ugh, on screen. But you're just like, okay, yeah, I see what they're doing. It doesn't work. But even he has a good moment too, where he talks to Pete after Pete, makes a move and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like if the world were fair, you would be with her, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a like I said, there are great moments in this, like well-written moments through this movie. but a lot of it rides on you liking the characters, which is not a hard thing to do. All of them are likable. There's not a bad character. I guess Sean Hayes technically. There's not a bad character in this movie. There's no like asshole character like most rom-coms do. There's no villainy in this rom-com. So if you're looking for something, let's say light and not something that's like I mean, it is like very by the numbers, but it's a fluffy, it's like popcorn. Like it's gonna fill you up while you're watching it, but then you'll be hungry for more by the end of it, and you'll probably watch another movie. But it's a solid rom-com film, with a very solid cast. This was on
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Like I know I watched it on a streaming service. Plus, like I said, if Josh Duhamel, Shotgun Wedding just came out this weekend, so if you want to see his very very first film. Here it is. It's another rom-com. You just shake your head.
Don't watch Shotgun Wedding. Just watch this.
Yeah, Brian's watched Shotgun Wedding already. I have not seen it yet, but Brian's telling me that I should not waste my time. But I'm still.
It's not worth your time. This is also on Paramount Plus, by the way, if you don't have Amazon. Which.
Yeah. So that's What a Date with Tad Hamilton. Next,
one more thing I want to note on this. One thing I love about Kate Bosworth, is that she has different color eyes. She has a blue eye and a brown eye. I don't know if you ever noticed this or not. And
apparently she has, was it 6 smiles?
Yes. But she has different color eyes.
Not to interrupt you. The 6 smile thing. Brilliant, by the way. Very, very brilliant. But then like when she goes to Pete, and she's like, you have 4 smiles. 3 of those smiles are the same fucking thing. They're the same. When you see someone's an idiot. When you see someone's a really, really an idiot.
Maybe it's a slightly bigger smile when he thinks that.
It's like, so you don't have a smile for when you're just straight up happy. You don't have a smile for when you think something's really, really funny. It's like, Kate Bosworth, you did not hit this line that well. It's like, you failed this one. But anyway, continue. Different color eyes.
So she has different color eyes. And I think I like that it's unique. It's something that makes her stand out. There's like a couple random scenes in this movie where she has both blue eyes. Like bright blue eyes. Like, I don't know if it's CG or they had to wear a contact or what it was. But I don't understand why. Like the one scene where Topher first kisses her. Where Pete first kisses her. I'm like, I don't understand that she had clearly 2 bright blue eyes. And I'm like, why did they change it just in certain scenes? I don't know. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out.
Maybe it's like a mood ring. And her eye
maybe.
Based on her
or else they started filming. They filmed those scenes first. And then she's like, I'm sick of this content.
I also feel that like the soundtrack's not bad, it overtakes the film. I feel like the music like is on like volume.
And it is very 2004 rom-com. This soundtrack.
It is. Because like there's so many times where the song I'm like, damn, turn the freaking song down. You don't need it that loud. Like we get it, but come on. Anyway, we're gonna move on to Brian's film. Brian's film is Smoking Aces.
Smoking.
Go ahead and get this thing out of the way here. Smoking Aces came out January 26, 2007, had a budget of $17 million, had a weekend opening of $14.64 million, opened its weekend up at number 2, which was its highest ranking during its run, had a finished box office of $57.23 million, $35.79 million domestic, and $21.45 million international. Take it away, Brian.
Yeah, so Smoking Aces is directed by Joe Carnahan, who before this had just done Narc, which is actually an excellent movie, but it's a pretty much a straight like drama starring Ray Liotta and Jason Patric, and he got him a lot of attention from the studios, a lot of critical acclaim. So then the next movie he comes out with is this, which based on the heat he had from that first movie, he was able to assemble this cast, which is like there aren't really any superstars in this movie at all, but it's just
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, who had done like at this point, he'd done Waiting and Just Friends and stuff like that, but he wasn't the Ryan Reynolds we have today.
No, I'm just saying, you should rephrase that. But yes, at the time.
No, that's what I meant. He was able to assemble a cast of people who at the time were not superstars.
Oh, he did Blade Trinity.
Yeah. Which I will still say is better than Blade 2, but that's just me. We just lost all our viewers.
We disagree with that.
But I mean, Ray Liotta's back, of course. You got Jeremy Pivens in this. You have a feature film debuts from both Common and Alicia Keys in this. You have Chris Pine. You have I don't know why I closed my window with the whole list. Anyway, great cast. Peter Berg's in there.
Taraji P. Henson, Andy Garcia.
Taraji P. Henson, yeah.
Peter Berg, Ben Affleck.
And that's what I actually love about this movie. Well, first let me get the plot of it. The plot of it is essentially there's kind of 2 plots going on. The main plot is that there is this guy. He's a magician at Las Vegas, or I'm sorry, wherever he is. He's a magician, played by Jeremy Piven, who has kind of gotten in with the mob, and for whatever reason, this mobster now, he says, I want his heart, and so he's like sending all these people. And before anybody else can get to him, before they would call the Swede who they're sending to get his heart, all these other assassins are taking this contract to take him out. And that's basically the whole concept of the movie. It's just there's like several different groups of assassins. They'll kind of have their own style, their own personalities, but they're all vying for the same kill to get the same, cash in on the same same contract. There's a whole secondary plot where it's mostly told in exposition, where in the past there was a cop and a gangster called Esperanza. And his whole thing, and he's dying, and he's the one who apparently wants this guy's heart, and it comes into play. And if you haven't seen it, screw you. Spoilers. It's the statute of limitations is up. It's almost 20 years at this point.
For variance here. Brian saw this months ago. I watched this the other day. So just to help Brian out a little bit.
Thank you.
They're FBI agents. Jeremy Piven's character has basically given up people to the FBI, so that way he won't go to jail. So he's a rat at this point, basically, and he's hiding in this motel room with his guards and security and all that stuff. And the mobster, I think it's Esperanza or Speranza. It's Speranza. He wants his heart, and everyone's going with mindset because Piven's a rat. And so he hires this Swede guy and all these other assassins, and they're all basically converging on this motel because they all know where he is. And Ryan Reynolds and Ray Liotta are basically like the FBI agents who are like kind of in charge, and Andy Garcia is like their boss. So continue. That's where we're at.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't usually do a whole plot breakdown, but when you did Ted Hamilton, I felt like I should too, and I didn't have it ready.
With Smoking Aces, you fucking need it. There's so much information thrown at you in the first.
Well, here's minutes. The thing. You know what? I'll go ahead and start talking about that. Smoking Aces, it has this big plot that gets more and more convoluted as it goes on, especially towards the end, that I didn't care about at all. Basically, what you need to know to enjoy this movie is there's a bunch of assassins all trying to fight against each other to get at the same dude, and that's all you need to know about this movie. Because the first, it's actually about an hour in before the real action really kicks off. Yes. It's got a lot of build up. I mean, there's a couple brief action scenes. There's a lot of build up, but then there's a moment when the action just lights a fuse, and from there things just go fucking nuts. And that's when the movie is at its best. It's at its strongest. I will say I thought they were very good at defining all the different characters. My favorite being the three neo-Nazi guys, which is Kevin Durand. I don't know the third guy, and Chris Pine. Chris Pine is having so much fun in this role. And I loved him in this role, which I found out later was supposed to have been Michael Shannon in this role. But he got fired for being rude to a costume designer. So they fired him and hired Chris Pine. That
seems like a very Michael Shannon thing.
Yeah. But Chris Pine was just, I mean, he was having a blast in this. And Chris Pine's, I've seen him do good drama. I've seen him do action movies. I've seen him do comedy. This one, he kind of gets to embrace the comedy and the action sides of it. And he creates this weird personality, which actually he does again later on when he does the movie Stretch for Joe Carnahan. He's great in that one as well. But here, and even I read an interview, an interview from Ben Affleck, or something about an interview. It said, after filming their scene together, Ben Affleck remarked to the director about Chris Pine, if I could take 10% of what I'm going to make in my career and bet it on anybody, I'd bet it on that kid. So clearly he was right. Chris Pine's had a pretty good career since that.
Maury Sterling was the third.
Is that the third guy? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's those three. I really like Octavia Spencer and Taraji P. Henson, wrong Hidden Figures actress, and Alicia Keys. I like the dynamic between those two, and especially kind of the different personalities. And Taraji P. Henson actually is a ton of fun. I mean, when she gets to unload not only with her sniper rifle from the next building, but then when she breaks out that big automatic one, she starts killing everybody, and that is tons of fun. Although when all the cops start shooting back at her, across to another building,
you don't know where you're shooting.
They don't know which window they're shooting at, and even if they hit, bullets are gonna go who knows in which windows and kill how many innocent civilians.
Or let alone the bullets even go that far.
Yeah, they probably just fall down to the street at that point. but yeah, there's those. Even the supporting roles. I mean, you got Jason Bateman shows up in a really small role where he's got, he's got untucked shirt and he's got like some kind of sore on his face and he's
Probably
like
got
all
herpes,
unkempt and he's
like
kind of
cold
geeky.
sore. Yeah.
He's great. Joel Edgerton shows up in a pretty fun role. Curtis Armstrong, Nestor Carbonell, who I like, he shows up in one.
Matthew.
Just a great cast across the board. I've been talking forever. Sean, what were your thoughts on this movie?
So when this movie first came out, I was super excited because this cast is great. Like Jeremy Piven was hot off of Entourage, or I think he was still doing Entourage during this, which I say what you want about Entourage. I enjoy that. And Jeremy Piven is great as Ari Gold. Obviously, I have been following Ryan Reynolds since Two Guys Ago at a Pizza Place. So anything with Ryan Reynolds, I still to this day will watch. And so like the cast and like just the thought process of this movie looked fun as hell. Because there's so many people in this movie that I enjoy. And I remember watching it back in 2006 when it came out. I remember going, it was all right. It was fine. It could have been better. But it was solid. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I enjoyed it. Rewatching it now, because I haven't watched it since 2006. I definitely liked it less than I liked it back then. This movie, like you said, is convoluted as shit. It's not necessary. I feel like Carnahan's trying to do his best to do like a Tarantino type of film by having so many characters and just so much going on that when it gets to this exposition subplot that's supposed to drive the film, no one gives a flying fuck about this plot. And they just keep bringing it up. And it's like all this movie needed to be was, granted, this movie came out before both these films, but it needed to basically be The Raid or Dread. And it should be all about just all these people converging. Yes, you need that subplot for why Jeremy Piven is up in the penthouse and stuff like that. But you didn't need to keep going back to it and going back to it, going back to it.
Do you though? All you need to know is that somebody wants him dead and everybody wants the contract. You don't even need to have that whole subplot.
Jeremy Piven got in with the mob. He's a rat. The mobster wants his heart for being a rat. End point. Go from there. And it's just like they kept bringing this exposition up. You're like, okay, well, clearly this is going to go somewhere. And then when it goes to where which is the ending, it's so just, it's more annoying than clever, because you're like, so basically the whole point of this film was fucking pointless then. There was no real point to all the massacre and shit that we got to it. Now, in terms of the characters, yes, the Tremor brothers, they were the highlight, because I love Kevin Durand. He's such an underrated actor who does not get the support. We support him here at the Weekly Crusaders, or Weekly Crusaders now, but he's an actor who's so good in everything he's in, but just does not get the recognition. And Chris Pine was, like I said, still relatively new. He's great in it. And like I said, Taraji Henson and Alicia Keys are surprisingly good. Common is really good, and I think this was Common's first film, I believe. It
was Common's first film, and actually. And he was one of my favorite parts about it, especially like that first scene where you're up in Jeremy Piven's penthouse.
You're talking about where they're having the conversation in the bathroom?
Well, there's that one later on, but the first one they're in it, and when they're first coming in and like they're kicking out all the prostitutes and stuff like that. He's just so much fun.
Yeah, Common is one of those just cool as shit guys. Like even when he was in John Wick 2 and like he's trying to kill John Wick, he's doing it with so much cool style. Like I can't be mad at him for this. But it's just, there's so much just utter bloated nonsense in this movie that, yes, when we do get to the action's like 15 minutes tops. It's not even that long. And then it's like an hour and 20 minutes of BS. Yes, Jason Bateman's in this movie, but Jason Bateman is just in it to just be weird. Like there's this one scene where he wakes up and he's wearing a bra and panties. You're just like, why? And it's like, fucking because. Like just because. And it's like, okay. And then also unnecessary. Ben Affleck's character, Peter Berg, and Martin Henderson's characters are unnecessary in this film. They take too much screen time to then end up where they end up in the film.
Well, I actually liked that. Because
hold on. I'm going to get to the part that I really fucking hate about this movie. Okay. You already know where I'm going with this. Martin Henderson at one point stumbles to this old lady's trailer, and we are wasted like 5 to 10 minutes. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but in movie time, that's a lot of this fucking idiotic kid who's so bad. And it's just so unnecessarily added to this film. I don't know if he's like friends with Carnahan or he had favors, but this takes you completely out of the fucking movie. It's unnecessary. Now, if they were doing like a deleted cut or a director's cut, then fine, throw this shit in there. But this movie, this part of the film is so fucking stupid. It's stupid. And all that amounts to it by the end of it is that Martin Henderson got a gun. That's it. We wasted 10 minutes of movie for this stupid ass kid just so Martin Henderson could get a gun. And it's shit like that that to me kills this movie. Keep it simple, stupid. Assassins of converge on a hotel room to try to kill Jeremy Piven. You got Ray Liotta, Ryan Reynolds, and basically Common and the people trying to keep them down. That's the plot. It's simple, it's effective, it's good. The action is good when we get it, but you overbloat this subplot. You add this excess shit that's just dumb, and it just by the end of it, I was watching. I was like, I'm still wondering what the fuck was the point of the old lady and the kid. There's no point. Can you explain to me the point outside of just having some random stupid shit?
So first of all, it all starts with Ben Affleck, Peter Berg.
I'm trying not to spoil those parts.
I'm going to spoil it.
Okay.
The statute of limitations is up. It's almost 20 years old.
All right.
Ben Affleck, Peter Berg, and Martin Henderson. So they're kind of the three that you kind of see most at the beginning of the movie. And
they're the exposition of all the assassins.
Yeah, Ben Affleck is kind of the one who's narrating and kind of introducing like all the characters. And I love the way they do the little introductions of all the characters, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's kind of narrating. He's using a little bit of a weird, dumb accent, but I'm like, whatever, fine. But what happens then is the Tremor boys drive by and they come by and they gun them all down. And at that point, and this is like very early in the movie, Ben Affleck is dead, Peter Berg is dead, Martin Henderson is obviously shot, and he's lost dead, basically, but he lives. And I kind of liked that they subverted expectations because, like, well, we recognize these guys, especially Ben Affleck. He's going to be like the main character of this movie. It's like, nope, he's dead. I kind of like the way they did that. And then Martin Henderson.
It's a very Tarantino-esque thing.
Yeah, the one of the three you assume would be, expendable. He's the one who's going to live and move on. So it all starts with that. And then so when he's trying to find his way back, he needs patch himself up and get his gun and things like that. He ends up at this trailer with this psycho ADD, kid who is completely obnoxious. And I totally get your take on it. I was entertained by it, but I completely
you were entertained by the kid doing karate moves and getting a boner.
And the scene is kind of unnecessary. But just like the whole plot with Speraza, that whole plot and the whole twist, I didn't care about any of that stuff. And I agree that drags the movie down. But the action sequences and the scenes like leading up and in between all the action sequences, I actually enjoy all of that stuff. It's like that middle, 2/3 of the movie. That's the part I love. And yes, the rest of it, I agree, does drag it down. It's better without it. But I just enjoy that stuff so much. I enjoy the characters that they've created and what Carnahan has done there. Because he does like kind of chaos very well in his movies. And that kinetic action is what I like about it.
The best way I can describe this, and I know I'm going to go food again. I'm on a diet, guys, so I'm hungry all the time. What a Day of Ted Hamilton was like popcorn. Fulfilling, but you'll be hungry right afterwards. Smoking Aces is like a good burger. You don't care about the bun.
Like Good Burger? That's weird.
Can I take your order? Yeah. You don't care about the bun, which is the beginning and the fucking end. You don't care about that shit. But you care about the stuff in the middle. You care about the cheese and tomatoes and what have you that you like, which is the bulk of the film, which is that middle piece. When you get to the actual fucking patty, that's the fun of it. And you got the little stuff in between that actually makes the burger tastier. That's what Smoking Aces is. Smoking Aces is a fucking hamburger. The middle piece is great. And then the outer pieces are fucking worthless and pointless, where you can just toss the buns away and just fucking eat the burger and the condiments, because that's what's fucking important. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. Even the first time I saw this movie, I even said that. I'm like, it's trying to be more than it should. It should have just been that simple action movie, because that part, what it did well, it did very well. But then it just tried to be, whether it be Tarantino-esque or just trying to be a more dramatic movie. It's like, no, we don't need that. Just
because you have this whole Jeremy Piven, oh god, I'm trying to describe how he's going through. he's playing it off like it's killing him that he's being this rat. But you have like these moments where he's just like looking up at the ceiling. Like I get it. He's drugged up. He's cocaining himself. But you have these moments where he's just doing like this, and it's like, let's fucking go. But that scene with him and Common in the bathroom was the best Piven did in that movie. Like that was a great scene, mainly because of Common. But it was a really, really good scene with those two. And Nestor Carbonell is awesome in this movie. His build from where he's going to the levels, like a video game that he gets to, is great. Ray Liotta and Ryan Reynolds are great together. They have a lot of fun. Like I said, Alicia Keys and Taraji, and when she does unload, like you say, that is the primary point of the film. And the Tremor Boys are fun. It's just everything around it that just doesn't work for me. I'm not saying that it's a movie that you should avoid. It's a average action film with a bunch of unnecessary shit. And I'm going to say this. I think you like Martin Henderson's thing better because you still love him for Torque.
Well, I don't know if I love him for Torque. I do love Torque. But Torque is a movie I freely admit is not a good movie. That is the very definition of a guilty pleasure because I just have fun watching that movie, even though I know it's not good.
But yeah, anyway. There's so much of this movie that's just utterly worthless. And this movie could be great. But it's just surrounded by a bunch of unnecessary condiments and buns that just don't work.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add with Smoking Aces?
No, I got nothing else, and you can't watch it free anywhere right now anyway. So
yeah, and there's a sequel on Netflix that's like apparently a prequel according to you.
It's a prequel called Smoking Aces Assassin's Ball, which it's not bad. I will say that movie, while it does have a little bit of a convoluted plot, it's better about just being action, but it's clearly a straight to DVD budget.
It definitely doesn't have the cast.
Not the cast or the production value.
And I will also say this too, like this was I don't want to call it the dark period, but this was the period of Ryan Reynolds' career where his movies weren't that strong in my eyes. Because like he did run through this one time, like he had Van Wilder, he started hot there, and he had Waiting and all this, and then he goes through this little dark spot.
Well, I think it's at that point where it's like his name was known enough. He's like, okay, now I want to be known. I want to get to some serious roles. So he takes like this, and he did like Amityville Horror and things like that, trying to shed the comedy image.
He had Well, I don't hate Adventureland, but he had like X-Men Origins and like all this other kind of stuff. I was like, man, it's like Ryan Reynolds, like you're picking the wrong fucking shit. Like stop. And then finally, he got like The Proposal, and like he started like doing other things. He was getting back into his Ryan Reynolds ways. Like to me, this
was like it was right after Green Lantern. He like got back in.
Yeah, after Green Lantern, he was like, enough with this shit. I'm doing my thing, and it's gonna work. But I will say this: it actually made me sad watching Ray Liotta because it just made me go, oh man, he's not around anymore. It really bummed me out. I'm happy to see him in the movie, but it bummed me out watching him because I like forgot, and I was like, oh fuck, Ray Liotta.
So we got one more chance to see him in Cocaine Bear coming this month.
Yes,
next month, February.
Yeah, February. Yes, we do get Cocaine Bear coming up, and I'm so excited for that. But yes, that is episode 2 of the Weekly Crusaders. If you guys enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought of these 2 movies. Let us know what movies you guys want to see us talk about. Maybe you'll get lucky. We'll pick them. Maybe there might be something that we already have figured out. We're like, you know what? I'm gonna pick that instead. But we like I said, episode 2 I almost messed it up.
Oh,
I caught myself because I was like, I'm already going down the wrong path. Cinemasochism episode 2 will be out. If not this weekend, it'll be out at the beginning of next week because we still have to watch the movie. So we still have to put ourselves through the torture that we do for you guys for that show. So that episode will be out here. Like I said, probably within the next 5 days. Because we just we have to watch it and we got to shoot it and then I got to edit it and all that fun stuff. But next week we'll be back again for another 2 movies. These I'm actually excited to watch these 2 because my movie is I don't know. Would you call it an indie?
Yeah, at the time it definitely was.
It's a superhero movie. And it's
found footage week here in the Weekly Crusaders. Yeah.
Yes, we didn't attempt that. We didn't try to do that. But mine is a found footage superhero film that I actually think is criminally underrated, and it's got a great cut cast for it, which is a small cast, but it's a great cast. And Brian, I've never seen your film, so I can't describe it without giving
It is another found footage movie, but this time, taking on time loops, which I'm a sucker for any time loop movies. So there you go.
Yes. So, and that'll be the first time I get to watch that. And I have not watched mine, I think, since the theater, but I loved it enough that I'm shocked that I haven't watched it since the theater. So those are going to be our talk movies for next week. I said this last week that I am going to do a review for Shotgun Wedding, but Brian is literally putting the fear of God into me that this movie's going to be bad. So let's put it this way, guys. If I watch Shotgun Wedding and the movie's just kind of probably not going to waste my time and shoot a review for it because it's not worth my time going, it's average. If it's horrible, I'm definitely going to do a review for it because it deserves to get shit on.
Don't expect to review people. It's not actively
bad,
horrible. It's just not good. It's just kind of like, why do I bother watching this?
Okay. So we'll see. There might be a review for that. You People comes out on Netflix. I have not watched it. I also really don't have a real interest to watch it. You haven't watched it yet.
No, I'm going to watch it.
It comes out tomorrow. Yeah. We're shooting this on Thursday. Obviously, this is not going to come out tonight, but it'll definitely come out this weekend. Teen Wolf, the movie, comes out this weekend as well, but I'm not going to shoot a review for that just because so many people don't watch Teen Wolf that it's kind of pointless to do it. Next week, though, do we finally get a movie? It's Knock at the Cabin, right?
Yep.
Yeah, one of my more anticipated films of the year. I'm actually excited for that. And it just like a relationship, I'm afraid I'm going to get burned again because I can't. M. Night Shyamalan, I don't know what freaking power he has over me, but he has burned me so many damn times. But damn, his trailers are good.
But he makes some damn good trailers, yeah.
Because I guarantee you, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I guarantee you, it's gonna get to the half. Like I'm still. Brian doesn't believe me on this, but I still say that every time with an M. Night Shyamalan film, once it hits the halfway point when you cannot get a full refund for a movie, that's when the movie goes to shit. So I guarantee you, I'm expecting at about the halfway point at Knock at the Cabin, if you look closely in the corner, you're going to see M. Night Shyamalan with money bags going, hee hee, and then the movie's going to go downhill from there. I would love to be wrong because I really am excited for this movie based off the plot and the cast and stuff like that. God, I hope I'm wrong, or I'm going to have a scathing review for that movie when it comes out. But that's next week. Is there anything else that comes out next week besides Knock at the Cabin?
Theatrically, no, I don't think so, no.
No? Okay. Anything else you'd like to add? Any stuff for cinemasochism or anything like that?
No, I mean, like I said, we already filmed the first episode. The second one, not looking forward to, but I don't think I'm ever going to be looking forward to these. But
no, these are ones that we're going to look forward to watching something together. But the movie itself,
I don't take that back.
There are
especially with the movies we're trying to pick. We're like it's kind of the same way you're talking about with your review. We're picking movies that are going to be fun to watch and fun to talk about, even if they are not fun movies, if they're not good movies.
And you gave me a list of movies today because this is Brian's show, so Brian's picking all these things, and I have some input. There are some of these I'm like, this is gonna be fun to watch. Like I'm actually excited to watch this with Brian. So I'm not gonna say that we aren't looking forward to any of them, but there are some where I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a fun time. So that's definitely gonna be the more fun show. If you guys have not watched our episode of Tiptoes, definitely check out because we had a lot of fun talking about that movie. And like I said, you don't have to watch that movie, but you definitely should watch the trailer for Tiptoes. But anyway, like I said, that's episode 2 of the Weekly Crusaders. We are the Movie Crusaders. My name is Sean Waskrug. That's Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.